Collapse is upon us. Prepare yourself for the crash. Are you prepared to leave your home within minutes and have an emergency bag and all of your important papers handy? Can you defend yourself in case of doubt and know how to behave with panicked people? Do you have cash at home with which you could flee abroad in case of war? Do you have your bank data and passwords in a fireproof safe? Are you prepared for economic or social doom? It is difficult to accurately predict whether or not there will be an economic collapse or other disasters and crises in the future. Economic collapses are far less severe than societal collapse. However, an economic collapse can turn into a societal one if, for example, many people slip into poverty or lose much of their money. Economic crises and collapses can occur for a variety of reasons, such as financial crisis. Financial crises sometimes occur when there are problems with the financial markets, such as a banking crisis or a real estate bubble. This can cause the economy to collapse as people can afford less and businesses get into trouble. Economic crisis. Economic crises can occur due to factors such as a lack of demand, high inflation, or overproduction. This can cause the economy to collapse as businesses struggle to sell their products and unemployment and poverty increase. Natural disasters. Natural disasters such as earthquakes, tsunamis, or hurricanes can lead to economic collapse as they damage infrastructure and industry in a region and force people to reduce spending. It is important to note that economic collapses are not necessarily preventable, but there are measures that governments and businesses can take to mitigate their effects. These include, for example, economic stimulus packages to increase demand and measures to stabilize financial markets. In case of doubt, however, a state will stabilize itself before it rescues individuals, i.e., you, or if the state could do so at all. If first the banking system crashes, then the stock markets, and an inflation or even hyperinflation occurs, it comes to a loss of your savings with simultaneous increase in price and shortage of food and items to cover basic needs. If you become unemployed and then sick, for example, you won't be able to pay your medical bills and will quickly slide into poverty and homelessness. Take precautions and be prepared for anything. It is imperative that you take care of yourself and your family. You alone must prepare yourself for difficult times. If you like this video, we appreciate a thumbs up and that you subscribe to our channel. In an emergency, you won't have time to take the necessary steps. Disasters and crises of all kinds can happen at any time, and you need to be prepared. In an emergency, every second you respond counts. What supplies do you have at home? What will you do in the event of a power outage? How do you protect yourself and your family? What do you do if you can't leave your house or have to leave everything in your house within minutes? What if you lose all your money and assets from one day to the next? Have you invested enough in your human capital over the years that you could easily rebuild a fortune from scratch? Millions of Americans are convinced that the United States is on the verge of an economic collapse, as less spending occurs due to the increases in costs from inflation and rising unemployment. Stagflation will cause the economy to suffer a major recession. However, very few people are prepared for this very likely event of economic collapse. If the housing bubble bursts and the US stock market collapses, the dollar drastically loses value worldwide. What then? How do you act? Panic will break out. The government has become heavily indebted in recent years, and the gloomy predictions of the economy are predicting a greater collapse for us than the financial crash in 2008 or 2009. Not acting until the crisis or disaster has arrived is too late. How long can you survive with the supplies you have at home? We are so used to being able to go grocery shopping weekly, sometimes even daily, that we have gotten out of the habit of stocking up. We have given ourselves into a dependency that we can never control. When, as in 2008 or 2009, A lot of money is withdrawn from the capital market at once. The economy collapses due to the lack of credit and investment. Banks close. There is extremely high demand for everyday goods and little supply, which causes the price to skyrocket. Extremely. Transportation of goods is no longer possible. There will be rapid shortage of food, oil, gasoline, and gas. Administrations collapse, which also affects utilities, causing no water and electricity to be available. This will cause widespread panic among the people, leading to despair, suicide, violent crime, and extreme selfishness. The police will quickly be forced to give up. We are more vulnerable than we have ever been because globalization and the division of labor have made us globally dependent and unable to secure our own lives. The independent cultivation of food, sewing of clothes, or supply with natural remedies has been unlearned by man and is therefore, without the specific education, no longer able to survive. If a financial crisis leads to a social crisis, and the system as we know it today collapses, then you have to be prepared quite differently. In any case, have the following items at home in a ready-packed hiking backpack: an axe, a shovel, a large knife, and a Swiss Army knife. Use especially the shovel of the American Army because this is a multifunctional tool with a meter stick, axe function, cutting function, and this is foldable. You can provide firewood, cutting food and making clothes. Supplement this with a sewing kit for darning or sewing clothes. Be prepared for self-defense measures. Complete a self-defense course. Have animal repellent spray against wild animals, and a baton. You should own and use a firearm only with good training and legal permission. To that you need ammunition, which can be a regulating factor. Therefore, be sure to buy as much ammunition as you can and as allowed by law. A helmet and face mask are also useful. Remember that you will need to transport these. Google Maps will stop working if the system crashes. Therefore, you should have a compass and maps of the area in any case. Be sure to take regular hikes in your area so you can develop multiple plans for escape. Have materials for building a shelter, a tent or tarp, a sleeping bag, and a hammock. Ensure the availability of fresh drinking water by having a water container, water filters, purification tablets, and a list of places where clean drinking water can be found. Since you should be boiling water, you should have a gas stove and a pot, as well as ways to start a fire. Fire is essential for survival in the wilderness and in an emergency. It warms, lights, cooks food, and purifies water. Therefore, you should pack a flint, lighter, and matches in your hiking backpack. For your survival, fire is a must, so learn different techniques to make a fire. Be sure to invest in your education here. It is also useful to always have enough light. Therefore, candles and solar-powered or crank flashlights are mandatory. Backup plans are more valuable than gold in a time of crisis. You should have different hiking routes in different directions, ready as an escape plan, and continue to know different shelters in case of emergency. Can you get to relatives? If so, how long will it take and how will you get there? Have adequate supplies of warm and functional clothing. This should be as easy to carry and clean as possible, but keep you warm enough on cold nights and in winter. Also, pack sunglasses and face protection, as well as a hat. Learn to grow your own food and educate yourself. Become independent of the system and have the knowledge to support yourself. You should have enough instant food with you for the first few weeks. Also think about seeds for the food you want to grow. It will not be possible for you to supply your body with all the necessary vitamins in the beginning. Therefore, pack vitamin tablets. After a collapse, hospitals will be unavailable or out of service. Have basic medical supplies and first aid in your backpack. If you need pills, stock up on them. Also, know possible herbal alternatives for your medicine that you can make yourself if in doubt. Have a solar-powered or crank radio and walkie-talkies for communication. The internet or network will quickly break down after an emergency. Ideally, You'll have friends who have the same intention and who you can rely on. Hygiene items, such as toothbrushes, toothpaste, soap, toilet paper you can pack. However, this will be used up after some time and no longer be available. Make sure you have alternatives, like, or as a substitute for toilet paper, a cleaning bottle with water. Have a supply of gasoline and gas to travel a distance in your car if necessary. Keep your knowledge and supplies to yourself. No one should know that you are well prepared and what you have. Otherwise, you will very easily and very quickly become the target of criminals or desperate people who want to secure their own survival through you and are willing to go very far for it. If you like this video, leave us a thumbs up and subscribe to this channel to not miss any more videos. Thank you for your support.